Welcome to Six Figure Trucker, the podcast where we share advice on how to be successful in trucking and have fun while doing so. We'll share stories, news, and advice on how to earn six figures in trucking, and we'll speak to guys and gals that are already doing so. Next, it's your host, Justin Scott. Let's get to the show.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Six Figure Trucker. I'm your host, Justin Scott. With me here, I have Speed Racer, one of the best deck drivers we have on our roster right now, Charles Lacomb. Charles, how you doing, buddy?
Good, Justin, man. Good. How are you?
Good. Well, man, thanks for joining us today. We're really excited to have you on the Six Figure Trucker. Been keeping an eye on you. You've been really shining on our driver leaderboard, which of course I watch, constantly. And I got your name wrong. It's Sleep Racer.
Yeah, you said it right. Sleep Racer.
Sleep Racer. Okay. What's the story behind Sleep Racer?
It's my old CB handle, and the best CB names are the ones that's given to you by someone else.
That's true.
Back in the day, we used to, haul cars, and we used to drive the 11 hours, and we'd be there undecking for 5 or 6 hours, and you're allowed to work as long as you want. You just can't drive anymore. So we pull in some 20-hour days, and the next day I'd sleep like 12 to 14 hours, and my friend would be ready to go after 10, and I'm like, nope. So that's how he came up with the name Sleep Racer.
I like it. You got your rest in so you can go full throttle when your name was called on.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Well, cool, man. Well, I love that story, and I just got to say, watching you and Big E, who we've had on the show before, you guys have been battling it out. One of you guys will be ahead of the other, then the next one will pull away. So I understand you guys have kind of, met each other and, talked to each other every now and then. So it's cool to watch you guys battle it out.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I met him at a small truck stop. Actually, he saw me in a small truck stop and decided to get ahead of me at the undecking. I come out with my coffee and I see a deck set with purple trucks ahead of me. I'm like, oh man, that coffee's gonna cost me. And find out, he's with Norton, and he saw the placard, and like he said on your show, he got all excited. He's like, oh, we're gonna, work together and this and that. He's got more experience than me, and usually if a guy says let's work together, sure, I'll work together. To me, it's kind of the same time,
sure,
but the camaraderie, and I don't want him working harder than I'm working, so we kind of like, it kind of pushes you a little bit. And great guy. We went out to eat afterwards, and I was just getting going over here, and he paid for my meal, wouldn't take no for an answer, and solid guy.
That's
we
awesome.
Talk every once in a while.
Yeah, I love stories like that, man. That's cool just to, have Norton drivers out there, creating relationships, helping each other out, and obviously the camaraderie that comes out of that, especially when you're on the road, is awesome. So cool story, and again, I'm enjoying you guys battle it out. I can't wait to see who takes the lead here towards the end of the month here. It's going to be fun to watch.
I think he's going to have it. I'm Sleep Racer, remember?
You're close though. Oh, well, cool, man. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. I'm interested to hear more. I've seen you just knocking the loads out and kind of doing it quietly, which is good. I mean, sometimes no news is good news, man. You just got a guy out there that's busting out his loads and rocking and rolling. So, how did you get started decking, or truck driving? What's your story?
The first time I ever saw a truck in Pennsylvania, I'm from New York, if you can't tell from my accent, but
I can.
I went to college at 17 years of age, and there was a truck stop near me, and they had those pamphlets out. And I don't remember. It's going back now probably 30 years. So I remember looking at the dollar amount per mile, and I think it was like lease purchase or owner operator. And I'm thinking, had no idea about the laws. I'm like, man, $1 a mile. Man, I could bang out like 900 miles in a day. I could make $1,000 a day. So I was young, and I come from New York, so no one in my family had a license. Only my Aunt Louise was the only one who had a license. So we didn't even drive cars, let alone semis. So, it kind of got me, thinking about it, and went back to New York. And, we don't have Peterbilt's long nose there chromed out. They usually beat up trucks, rusted out. And so kind of forgot about it for a while. I dropped out of college, got a good offer on Wallstreet. I was a clerk on the floor. and actually passed my Series 7 exam. So I was white collar, actually was a
Shoot, yeah, that's
stockbroker.
not easy, not easy.
So again, I would go outside on my little break and I'd be staring at these Lincoln Town cars. And I'm like, they're shining them up. It was like Uber XL before Uber was there. So these guys would bring around the bankers to wherever they needed to go. And here I am on Wall Street, but I was looking at these guys jealous that they got brand new luxury cars, 2 years old, and, armor on them. They got fully loaded leather, moonroof, everything. And I'm like, man, I'd rather be doing what they're doing,
Yeah.
So actually I got into that. And, part of the story is that kind of setup was an owner-operator thing where you you pay a small commission for the work and, the car is yours, the repairs are yours. So that kind of actually got me on the path, with trucking too, with the lease purchase. So I did that for a while. Unfortunately, September 11th happened. We lost accounts in the World Trade Center. So I switched over to a yellow cab, drove a yellow cabbie. And did that for a while, and then I said, I don't want to do this the rest of my life. Went in the military and got trained to be an air conditioner mechanic. And funny story is, I went up to Alaska. There are no air conditioners in Alaska. So they're like, mechanic. So again, they put me on trucks, slapping in axles. And now with decking, that it really helped me now to undeck these trucks and slap in some axles.
That's some good, that's good exposure.
Yep. And then basically that was I got a little taste of the owner-operator thing with the town cars. I learned how to slap in axles in the military. After that, my friend's wife came up to me and was like, oh, I need someone to help me run my company. You need a CDL. And I was like, well, how much you make? And she's like, $2,000 a week. She didn't tell me that was her brother's best week ever, and it was probably for 8 days.
That's how it goes.
So I got my CDL, and that's going on 12 years now. Been all around trucking since that point, like different kinds. I did drive-in, I did reefer, I did flatbed. I really enjoyed the car hauling, and so much so I got my own authority, and I did that for a while. I really enjoyed that a lot. I just didn't like going into residential areas. And my friend who worked at another company very shortly told me, I'm too old for this. I don't know, but you would be really good at this. You really know about, mechanics and axles and airlines. And I was like, yeah. And then I hit like Eric Ryan. I hit that brick wall. I couldn't afford an engine. I couldn't afford rear ends anymore. And I said, you know what? Let me try it. And I bumped into a guy out on the road in South Dakota. And he told me a little bit about his company, the one I started with. And he's like, oh, I can even train you. And he trained me. And, I went with that company for a while. And rates went down. And my friend actually suggested Norton in the very beginning. So that other company trained me. And then I came over here.
Well, we like that story. No,
Yep.
How long? That's an incredible journey to get to where you are. And you say, what you're mentioning about the owner-operator side is what I hear a lot. And, transportation-wise for me, driveway has been, the only, side of the transportation that I've seen on this side of things. And on that, a lot of guys are saying, the expenses of being an owner-operator and all that adds up. And, of course, you still have expenses, when you're driving decks, but it's a lot less. You're a lot less chained down to those expenses, if you will. You can always decline something, or it just seems like the flexibility for a lot of folks that come out of the owner-operator side, they just seem to enjoy it more. Is that the case with you?
Absolutely. I have a friend of mine with the company I started with. I got to know a few guys, and, he asked me, should I get my own authority? And, you did it and you have a good head on your shoulders. And I'm like, well, to tell you the truth, and when you have your own authority and you're doing something specialized, you can make more. Like when I hauled cars and motorcycles, not too many people can haul motorcycles because you got to tie it down a certain way. Don't scratch them. You have to have a license to do it. And, you can make more money. But the repairs are through the roof. That's
right.
The problem. We put money aside in an escrow, and you can cover a rear end, you can cover brakes, tires, But when that engine goes, I have 3 engines go on me now, through all these years.
Wow.
One was during a lease purchase, and 2 were with my own authority. And you can't save for that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like 25,000 in one shot. I mean, it's really a lot of money. If you want a new crate engine, we're talking 40 grand.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can make more until your engine goes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And it's going to happen. But no, and I get that. But, you've done a good job for us. And obviously, from a money perspective, how is decking and being, I guess, in the decking industry, not only with us, but with other companies that you've worked with or company that you worked with, how is the income in that space for you, or how does that compare?
I'll tell you the truth, it's kind of sad in a way, because I'm still paying bills from when I had my own authority.
Oh, wow.
So the money I'm making with you guys,
It's
I wish I could keep it to myself, but I got to pay back people I borrowed from, or some credit cards, during COVID, I had to
Absolutely.
let some of it go. But yeah, I'm making money now to pay for owner-operator expenses, if you could believe it.
no,
I don't even have the business anymore. I still have the truck, but, I don't even have the business, and I'm still paying back on it, but I'm almost done with it. So the money is great. The other company I was with, I'm not going to mention their name. I'm very grateful for the shot they gave me, and they trained me. And so I had 2 trainers now. I had one trainer in my old company, and I have James Garcia over here. He knows what he's doing. He's been around the block a few times, So I really look at that as a blessing that I got trained twice. And now I got people like Eric Ryan, other folks that I can call if I have a question or just to confirm. I doubt something, and I'm like, man, I think that truck moved. What should I check? And I just called Eric 2 days ago. He was like, yo, if anything moved and you're not comfortable, shut it down right away. Call driver services, call breakdown. Do not take a chance, And, I really trust him and his opinions, so it's great. It's really working out well for me.
Well, that's great, and he's exactly right. I mean, in our industry, and probably a lot of industries for that matter, but proceed with caution when safety could be an issue, safety of yourself, safety of others. So you never know what's going on, but to have it double checked and to feel confident that we've done all we can to make sure that we're in as safe position as we can put ourselves in. So I think that was top notch advice from Big E there, as I know he always provides. So that was awesome that he was able to help you out with that.
Yep.
So what?
Actually, I was able to help him out one time.
Oh, let's hear it.
So now, and that's what I like about Eric Biggie. He has more experience than me in undecking, but he always keeps his eyes and ears open. He's never one of these pompous guys like, oh, I know everything. So we both had a load out of Champlain, New York. Mine was going to Kansas City, Missouri. His going to Kansas. And he calls me up, and he's like, oh, I took this Chillicothe load in the meantime, and you're coming down. I want you to help me. And I'm thinking to myself, is this guy being lazy?
Yeah.
Is he trying to like mess me up on my reward points and get ahead of me? You don't seem like that type of a guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, I really need your help. I really don't feel comfortable. And I still don't believe him. So I'm like, I'll think about it. I'll see where I'm at. And I'm like, oh, when you do these kind of Z bars, make sure you do A, B, and C. And he's like, okay, why would you do A? As soon as he said that, I was like, I'm coming.
Yeah.
That's it. You questioning something like that and you don't know off the top of your head, I'm coming. So I went over there to Rochester, New York, and it was nighttime, and he really hustled because he only had 2 hours on me. He had everything done except separating the Z-bar from the truck. He had the axles in, the airlines, so he wasn't trying to take advantage of me at all.
Yeah.
And we got under there, and I struggled with the first one. I was like, man, it shouldn't be this hard. And he was about to give up. And I'm like, dude, don't give up. Don't give up. We'll get it. And the second one, he's like, man, screw this. I'm getting out of here. I'm like, I'm telling you, I got this before, and I got it easily. I've done about 4 or 5 of those short little Z-bars. And I was like, I got it to where those straps come out easily. Just let's give it one, the second truck. Let's give it a shot. Man, we got it perfect. They came out like butter. And I actually learned something on it. So I'm glad I went to help him because I learned something that I could do better to make those straps come out. And now he's more comfortable. And it's better for the company, too, now, because a lot of those Chillicothe loads, they sit on that board for a while. Guys shy away from it.
Exactly.
They're a little difficult.
Yeah.
Big guys have difficulty getting under there. So, I mean, the more people that are trained on these Chillicothe loads, the better for the company. And if we service those accounts, you know, it'll bring money to Eric's pocket, my pocket. So everyone helps everyone, and it's best for the company.
Absolutely. And I love that scenario because, now you might have learned the hard way, but a lot of the stuff is, when you're getting in it, you're going to find more efficient ways to do things the more you do certain things, and that goes along with anything that you do, especially mechanically, when it's mechanical or related. But on the back end of that, you said a great thing, like, when you, and I've had customers say this to me, and those of you listening, customers love to say this, but hey, you got to take the good with the bad, or the bad with the good, and vice versa. And I'm like, God, I know, because it'll be like, they want to move this, load from, one place to another, and nobody's going to want it. I know it's going to be a shitty run or whatever. But they're right. Hey, if you take care of them on those harder ones, then they're going to give you more of the better ones. And I think that's across the board. So, folks that are willing to train and willing to learn, some of the harder Z-bars and the Z-bars that folks are may shy away from, it's going to be more for everybody, more for us. So the benefits there is just a little bit of elbow grease that has to go in it on the front end. So good story, man. That's a good picture. So I guess you doing that? Have you ever, you're undecking? Have you ever done decking in the field, like used trucks or decked them up yourself?
A funny story is James Garcia was offered that, and they were, he was thinking about doing it. And I believe Michael was there, and that's the time that they visited the Van Army yard.
Yeah.
And it was like my first trip or second. No, I think it was my second trip training with James Garcia. And Michael Norton was there, but I was busy putting in lights and stuff. So when I passed him, I didn't get a chance to say hello. He was doing some intense business on the phone. I could tell it was like pretty intense. And I'm like, oh, he might be trying to get an account. I'm not going to bother him. I just gave him the head nod. And so we get into the office, and Michael Norton leaves with Danielle. She was there. They left. So David, our terminal manager, who I tell you has really helped me out more ways than one, we go in there, and he's like, okay, do we keep him or cut him loose? Is he good? And James Garcia turns to David and says, he should be training. And he's like, what? He's like, yeah, this guy's telling me what to do. And I thought he was being facetious. He's like, no, serious. Because I told James Garcia a couple of things, like, hey, man, we should put this here or that there. And, it's just I was trained different. So I had like a little shortcut for something, or
sure.
It was a safety issue that I saw. And I was like, oh, we need to do this. So, he was offered to do this field decking. And they asked him, who do you want with you? And he's like, Charlie, right here. And they're like, he's brand new. He's in training. What do you mean? No, he listens. He's attentive. He's careful. I want him with me. So I told him, hey, I don't know if I'm ready to do that yet. I got a lot of personal things going on. I'm still trying to, like I told you before, cleaning up that old authority I had. But it's something I might do once I'm more relaxed.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I did think about it.
Well, the only reason I mentioned that is just because of your experience in the decking world and everything that you've done, and just wondering if that ever crossed your mind. I know there's a lot of money out there, and we certainly have a lot of great opportunity out there. But it sounds like there's light at the end of the tunnel. Once you get everything squared away, with taking care of from when you had your own authority, it sounds like things are going to be financially really, really good for you. Is that how you feel? Do you see that?
Oh yeah, there's extra money.
Yeah.
So now, like, I'm paying my current bills, and like a lot of people, we all got screwed up on the COVID. I wasn't at this company during that time. I was with another company, and we were starving. I was begging for singles just to keep my cell phone on. And, I had to go on a payment plan for the cell phone, and I'm grateful for that company for doing that.
Sure.
But, man, I was paying the cell phone for my whole family, like me and my wife. I got 3 kids and my mother-in-law, who's helped us out a lot. So it's 5 lines. I tell you, by the time I didn't pay for 3 or 4 months, they're like, don't worry about it. When that time came, my bill was $600 a month.
Oh, shit.
And then everyone, since we didn't buy phones because we were broke, it was $800 a month. We just finished paying that. So now our car is almost paid off in 4 months. We paid back everyone personally, that lent us money.
Sure.
And, the thing is, actually, when we paid them back now, they have lost their jobs. Like people that were in the restaurant industry, they try to hold on, during COVID, and finally the restaurant had to close its doors. So they were out of a job, and we're like, "Oh, here's the money we owe you." And they're like, "In tears, thank you, thank you, thank you." Like, what are you talking about? Some money I owe you? Like, you don't know it came at a bad time. I was like, "Well, that's what happened with us," So always try to do the right thing. Someone helps you out, you help them back. I mean, even getting back to Eric, man, when we were first started at that one undecking, when I first met him, he's like, he looked at me square in the eyes, like, "I'm not leaving till you're leaving." And I was like, "Really?" And it took me aback, like, "All right, help me with this or help me with that. And I have another 45 minutes of cleaning up. No, I'm staying until you are done." And I mean, that's great to have that kind of help and support, at the company.
Yeah, and he mentioned that, when we had him on the show, and he talked about, making sure that he keeps that top of mind, because obviously old saying, everybody knows that what goes around comes around. You can use that both ways, but I think it's a true believer of that. If you help out, you're going to get that in return. Not always, but I think the majority of the time karma exists, and that when he's in a tough spot and you can help, you're going to be there because of what he did for you. So I love that. So you mentioned, you got a wife, 3 kids. You still live in New York?
No. Between Wallstreet, between the yellow taxi and getting my CDL, I did 3 years in the military. And I joined and met my wife in Aberdeen Proving Ground during our AIT, which is right after boot camp, Advanced Individual Training. And good woman. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to date this woman because I'm just going to date her and, we're going to get separated. And she's a really good woman. There's plenty of girls out there that, free spirit or whatever you want to call it. But I was like, I'm going to stay off of this one. This is a good girl. So she got her orders. She's Mexican and, hasn't been around snow. So they stationed her in Alaska.
Oh, wow.
So I requested Alaska just, out of coincidence, and they gave it to me. They're like, "Oh, you want to go to Alaska? Yeah, we're gonna send you." So we both got stationed in Alaska. It was different duty stations, but it was like 5 hours away. So we started dating, got married, and when we got out, went back to New Jersey for a little bit of work. I worked out of Texas. I worked in California. I was the manager of a warehouse out there for a New York company. So she's kind of followed me around. So kind of been all around the country. I'm now in Wisconsin, kind of close to Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm on the west part of Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And we're here, and maybe when the kids graduate, we might move down to San Antonio. David's down there.
Yeah.
That's a great guy. He's helped me out a lot with, just the phone calls like, "Hey, I have this problem. Oh, you have to do this. You have to do that." He's got me plane tickets. He's got me rental cars, because my dispatcher, Thomas, goes home, at 5 o'clock. I'll call him at 8, 9 o'clock, and he'll give me a flight.
He's Johnny on the spot, man. That's great. I love that.
He is instrumental for me being successful at Norton. I wouldn't be in the top 10 of that rewards, that leaderboard, if it wasn't for him. Because I would be losing time. I'd be losing jobs.
Yeah.
So he's really instrumental into my success here. Absolutely.
Well, man, I'll tell him you said that. Of course, I know he listens, and we're going to have him on the show too, just because of his knowledge of decking just in general. I think would be fascinating. But, I love the area that you're in, but I love San Antonio too. And, I was in Minneapolis. I guess it's been about 1.5 years since I've been there, but loved Minneapolis. I loved being in the city. I got to visit the outskirts and visited Rochester and went up north a little bit further than that, and just cool to drive around Minnesota for a little bit. And then, of course, San Antonio, weather is great with the exception of a crazy-ass February that nobody's seen in however many years. But every time we go down there, it's always beautiful. It's hot. I love the yard, love the area that's at, and we usually stay downtown at the Riverwalk and eat too much food and drink too much beer, and I love it. I love it down there.
But that's the beauty of this job. So now I'm out of New York, and of course, we have the best pizza.
Oh yeah, I
Someone
agree.
can argue, but
No,
we
I
have the best pizza.
Hey, love this. Yeah, I agree.
So now, if I ever want pizza, if I ever want to see my daughter, she's grown. She's 26 years old. She's up in Ithaca, New York. So I can pass by with a single, or if I have a rental car going to Champlain, New York, I could visit my daughter. That's the beauty of this job. I can pick where I want to go.
Yeah.
And if I'm staying at her house, guess what? I'm not spending money on a hotel now. So now I'm actually saving money in addition to making the money. So this job is great, where you could go wherever you want to go.
Well, I think that's exactly, and that leads me to what I wanted to ask you too. Is it looks like from a terminal standpoint, you've pulled out of all of our terminals, and there's not necessarily a rhyme or reason. But then when we look at the driver leaderboard, you and Big E are right there on top. And for those that are listening, the leaderboard is a way for drivers to keep track of their points, and once they hit certain, once they hit, certain points, they start getting additional bonuses for a full quarter the next quarter. So, the more points that you earn, the more money that you can put in your pocket for future runs, up to 8 cents in addition, 8 cents a mile in addition to what we're already paying. So, it could be pretty fruitful to be successful. But my question to you is that, when I see, somebody like you that's out there, that's throwing up points, ranking high on the leaderboard, what is there a method to how you do what you do, or what are you thinking about when you're load planning or when you're working with your dispatcher? How do you select what you like to do and what you end up doing?
I'm kind of slow and steady. I try to be this is a dangerous job.
Yes, no doubt.
We have a couple of bolts holding these trucks together, and you got to do your safety checks. I do not skip safety to get more money or be higher on the leaderboard. It is a serious business that we have to be safe out there. I like leaving out of Texas because it's, far, a lot of miles. And, we stay at a hotel every night. We get, money for that. And wherever I drop, I just try to go to the closest place. So if I'm going to the Northeast, there's Chillicothe loads. Now, they don't pay as much as a Texas load, but it's quick. And a lot of them, believe it or not, get me right back to my house. So it's like a little triangle. And I just started in November at this company. So I'm not here that long. And during the month of November, my wife is like, "What are you doing here? How are you here? I don't understand. You were just here a few days ago." And I'm like, "Oh, well, I dropped 2 and I have 2,
Yeah.
So that's it. Or I have a single, or I have a rental car going, back east to Chillicothe. So I'm passing through the house. So I really don't need to take that much time off right now because I'm passing through the house. And, we're prior military, so we're used to separation. So for us, if I'm gone 2 weeks, that's nothing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's great.
So that's all I do. I just keep going around a little triangle. I do like Champlain, New York. For some reason, it's just kind of up there. I like the colder regions. I do like snow. Just requested a Fargo the other day, and in the middle of the night, someone was like, "Oh, this fool wants to go to North Dakota with this -14. They gave it to me right away. So I just kind of like bounce around and just go for whatever. There's just slow and steady. I don't take that much time off. Now, Big E, on the other hand, I look at him as my peer. I forget that I'm older than him, but I guess he looks at me like I'm new kid on the block. I'm coming from a different company, and I am older than him, and I got ahead of him on that leaderboard. And he's like, "Oh no, I can't have this." So it kind of pushed him, and he had taken 4 weeks off. So him and I are like battling it out, but he had close to 4 weeks off in January.
Yeah,
so
I remember that. I remember he took some time off for the holidays, and then he just kind of kept out.
So I don't look to be number one on the leaderboard. I just it's nice.
Just do your thing.
To see that. It's just nice to see. That's a sense of pride. I thought when I came here, I thought I was slacking off. I thought I was taking too long to do these loads. And then next thing you know, I'm on that leaderboard pretty high, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm not doing that bad. And Eric, he looked at me and he's like, yeah, you're doing pretty good, So yeah, I just slow and steady. I look to, be safe, do a good job, go home, pass through the house. That's all it is. Just working.
Well, you said some really good things there, and I want to revisit them before I forget. But what you said, I thought was amazing because, a lot of times, what you're pulling a triangle, you're going here, you're coming there, you're coming out of there, you're finding the load that's closest to the load that you're delivering, and then you're spending less time in an airplane, more time picking up loads. So this is allowing you to complete more loads, even though they're not all, beautiful, big paying loads. The mileage is not there on every one of them, but every other one, you're getting more miles out of. So because of you're cutting down expenses, you're, quickly planning your next trip because you're not having to spend a whole day flying or waiting on an airplane every time you deliver. You've created an efficiency pattern within the terminals that works for you. You get to go home. So I'd say you got this shit figured out. That's what I would say.
I think it has to do, I am a hard worker. I don't slack off that much, But I think, and Big E also here, he had his own authority, and I had my own authority. So I've listened to his podcast like 5 times. I mean, so much that he has said it really hits home. We work hard and just try to produce and, be efficient. Don't try not to spend too much outside. Don't go into the truck stop, spend $30, $40, get the cheaper hotel. If you got a cousin or a friend that lives in a certain town, you stop there. So that's what it's about. Just slow and steady and just killing it,
Yeah, we've got to be safe. I mean, like you said, the saddles that connect the frame and just how they're held on by J-bolts and it's like you've got to check that stuff. You got to make sure that you're doing your pre-trips, make sure that you're stopping and checking everything out to make sure it's tight because it's dangerous. It's a dangerous gig. Not only when you're driving, but when you're done driving, now you got to take these things apart and get them ready to be presented to the customer. And, it's not an easy job and it's not for everybody. I guess take me back to when you first, doing your call or stuff. You had a lot more experience than some of the guys doing different type of stuff with axles and different things. But when you first, undecked training, were you like, okay, this is not that bad? Or did you say, I don't know, this might not be for me? Or what was your thought process?
My first trainer at the other company was a rush type of guy. He showed me how you can, reduce your downtime and go, but, he wasn't putting stacks on. He was making mistakes. He had, slight damage. He'd open the door into the hoist, and dent the door. Just things like this because he booked the flight. Like, for instance, today, I just, finished my load today. I didn't book a flight. There were a bunch of flights today. I got done undecking. I looked for flights. They're all gone. I looked for a rental car. None available. Guess what? I'm getting a hotel.
Yeah.
And I'm flying out tomorrow.
Yeah.
But the customer got their trucks perfect. I was nervous for a good 6 months because, if you go into a dead-end street, you can't back these things up.
No.
And then you have to have a record come out at your expense and undeck them. And then, I don't know how that would work because now you're going to have miles on a vehicle that the customer asks, to be pulled along, to have 0 miles on it. So, I was nervous for a good 6 months. Now I went to a Penske place that we delivered to, and they kept telling me you could deliver 24 hours. They kept, insisting. I'm like, yeah, sure. I don't mind. So I went there 7:00 at night and started on deck, and I had my flashlight with me. And I'm working in the dark, and the customer, comes over and is like, hey, you don't have a flashlight? I'm like, I do, but I know where all the pieces are, like by feel. So I'm that comfortable now that, I know how to do the job basically with my eyes closed. You still check everything, obviously, brake lines and stuff. This is, like I said, even undecking is serious. I mean, guys have gotten hurt. James Garcia did get hurt a long time ago, and he, gave me that knowledge, like, be careful of this. I got hurt. I was in the hospital. So it is a serious job, but you just have to be careful and, just listen to other guys, listen to their stories. Oh, you had a truck come away from you on the hoist. Oh, how'd you stop it? Why did it happen? What could I do to prevent that? So you really have to take in the experience of other drivers too.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power. And, we want, drivers to talk to each other as much as they can about their undecking experiences, because you're right. I mean, somebody unfortunately having to learn something the hard way may save somebody else from having to go through that, and that's a great thing, and I think trying to get that information out, and that, like you said about Dave, like I've got so many stories that he's told me. I wish I could have recorded every one of them, but he's been doing this a long time, and he's learned some things the hard way, but he's seen a lot of people do things the wrong way and hurt themselves or somebody else, and so that knowledge to share to our drivers is there's not an amount of money that could help with that.
I have a little story to tell you.
Please.
I really tried to get this in writing. I wish I could. So my trainer, I still talk to him from my old company. He's a good guy. So they have a sign-on bonus, which is a lot less than what we have for sign-on bonuses. But nevertheless, they have a sign-on bonus. So the recruiter calls him and is like, hey, if you get anybody from Norton Transport to come over, we'll give you another $500. I'm like, BS, man. Come on. They did not single us out. He's like, no, they did. And I spoke to my other friend who was asking about, should he get his own authority? And he verified it. He's like, no, he's not BSing. They actually said that.
Shit.
And they wouldn't. It wasn't a text message. I was trying to get a text message. I was going to send it to David. But it's like two things I see there. Number one, they're losing a lot of drivers to us because their rates, they're taking advantage of the drivers.
Right.
During COVID, the rates went down and they never went back up. So number one, they're taking advantage of drivers, and we come over to Norton. We keep both for a minute, but we still have to do one load a month to be active with them. Now, the problem is that one load is $500 or $600 cheaper.
Oh, wow.
So it's really not even worth it, to do it, because I can do a single over here and make more money than their hub loads. Hub loads are where you take a deck set and you don't undeck it,
right? Yeah, that's right.
You bring it to a terminal, they undeck it. So you have a 3 or 4 way, and it actually pays less or just about equal to our singles. So I quickly turned in my plates over there. And what I'm thinking is, I think it's not only to do with the jealousy factor. I think we have made such a name for ourselves that they want Norton Drivers, because they know we care about our job, we do our job well, and we don't cut corners. We don't rush. We take our time. We do everything right. So I think that's why they're offering the extra $500. Because of our reputation, really.
Absolutely. And obviously I'm biased. I work here and, love this company, and it's been such a crazy ride the last few years, from where we were. We've been around over 20 years. Our founder and president, Calvin Norton, is still with us, and his main philosophy is, listen to your drivers. He started off as a driver. He still is a driver. He goes to Chillicothe and picks up. I mean, this guy is still just driving, and he's started this company over 20 years ago. So that tells you something there just in itself. But he, his main philosophy that he has preached is listen to your drivers, and we do that. And yeah, we make mistakes, and I think all companies do. But it's how do we react to that, and what can we learn from that? And we are going to listen, and we're going to change things to make them better. Not everything's perfect, and, I don't know that it ever will be, but, keeping an open ear to your drivers and your employees, I think is an important philosophy. And I've heard a lot of great leaders say that, and it's true. And I think that's why we've been able to be successful, is because we listen, and here we are, and like you said, people are wanting you guys because you guys are out there doing such a fantastic job, and it's not easy work. So the people that can do it great, what company wouldn't want to have them, right?
Right, yeah. I even see a lot of union drivers trying to recruit us too. They're like, man, you really do a good job. You don't want to consider working for us. I'm like, no, I'm good. I get paid very well.
Yep.
And just something else to touch on too. Those, I talk about the Chillicothe loads, that they're a little bit cheaper, but like you said, you can bang them out quick, reduce your downtime, but also there are incentives. If that load stays there for too long, I was offered, another $200 on the load, and I was like, wow, that really brings it higher than any other, per mile than any other load.
Yeah.
But I try to look out for the company too, because they're doing me the favor. So now I was able to get a rental for $40 that time. So the travel expense with the gasoline might have been like $65. So one hand washes the other.
That's
you
right.
Look out for us, and we look out for you too.
Yeah, and we got to deliver trucks. Customers, they don't give a shit where it's picking up or how long the route is. They just want their trucks. So we got to figure out how to do that. And a lot of times if it's old like that, or if it's sitting there, then we know, hell yeah, nobody wants this load. But that don't mean we don't have to move it, because whoever's
Right.
trucks it are, they don't give a shit how long the load is. They just want their trucks. So that's always a tough balance to have. But so would you say you're in Kansas City? Did you say that?
I'm in Kansas City, and this is what us drivers we say homeless. Delivered the load. I do have a plane right now scheduled for tomorrow, but before, when I spoke to you earlier today, I didn't have a rental. I didn't have a plane ticket, but that's on me, because I don't like to be rushed.
You did it right.
I like to do my job and make sure everything gets signed. What if the customer, like yesterday, for instance, customer was like, oh, this airbag doesn't look like it inflated. I was like, well, that's probably when the wrecker lifted it up from the rear. We kind of just folded over on itself when it came back down. I was like, don't worry, I'll take care of it for you. So that was, another 10 minutes that I took to give the customer their truck and, how they wanted it. But what if I had something scheduled? Now I'd be like, under the gun to try to make that plane or something. I don't like that stress. I do this job stress-free. And that is a big key too. I'm just chilling here, hanging out.
Well, yeah, you're right, but that does force you to cut corners, because you've got a plane, or you've got pre-existing things that you've committed to, and it's going to force you into a situation where you may not be completely done, but you have to be, or you have to cut a corner here, and it's going to cost you, because that stuff's going to add up. And it's not winning. Complete it out, look good for the customer. Everybody wins.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Well, cool. So any dinner plans for tonight? Kansas City. I love Kansas City. I'm going to talk about Kansas City. So many places I would go. Any plans? Are you gonna save a little money or do something quick and easy, or are you gonna go relax and get something that's gonna make you slower tomorrow?
My plan today is to get laundry done.
That's a good plan.
I just kind of got screwed up on some of these hotels not having guest laundry, and it's just one of those things. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do some paperwork, gonna do laundry, and I'll probably just get something quick to eat.
Yeah, get some R&R, get something quick, get some laundry done. I like it. Fresh, Get some fresh clothes. I guess, that's something, too, to talk about when you're talking about being on the road for so long. Like, undecking can be a dirty job. So, for guys that are listening out there that are either singles drivers or they're thinking about being a deck driver, what's some strategy that you have? You want to get, how do you make sure you stay fresh?
Well, that's one thing why I like Norton, because this company allows us to rent cars. So if I don't feel fresh, I don't want to get on a plane. So if I'm taking a plane, normally I get a hotel room to take a shower, get rid of the grease, and do laundry, but I'm spending this extra day at the hotel. Normally what I try to do is, just quickly wash up wherever I'm delivering, if they allow us to use the restrooms now because of COVID. That's another issue.
Been a big thing, yeah.
And just, be presentable enough to walk into a car rental place, deal with someone for 5 minutes, then you have that rental car. Now you can go anywhere. You go to a truck stop to take a shower.
Yeah, you got the flexibility now.
Yep. So that's what I like about Norton, is that we're given the option to travel. Like, take a rental car, have someone give you a ride. My wife has given me rides in the Minneapolis area. I'm like, oh, there's a load over here. Just pick me up and drop me off. It's 40 miles. I'll take her out to dinner or lunch or whatever it is.
Hell yeah.
And she sees me and keep the expense down. Keep the expense down for Norton.
Hell yeah.
Because also, if we keep the expenses down when we can, our pay is not going to be decreased because we're being productive at a cheaper amount. So they're going to keep paying us as long as we keep doing a good job.
Yeah, that's efficiency. You have to, as a company, you have to be able to invest resources and money, back into your company to grow, to get to where, you need to be and to be successful. And if you don't take care of that, and if you lose sight of that, take care of your drivers, but don't lose sight of, and there's a balance, don't lose sight of making sure you're investing back into your business. Otherwise, you won't be successful. So I feel like we've done a really good job of that, and we think about that a lot, and there's, a lot of planning that goes into that. So it's great that you noticed. So, what else we got? So future plans, let's talk long term. How long do you expect to do a job like this and to be into this space?
Man, I really enjoy this job. I don't think I'm going back to my own authority. We know how to do it, like me and Big E. We know how to have our own authority, but I just don't think we're going to do it. I'm pretty much going to stay doing this. And also, you guys have taught us certain things like field decking, not myself, but other drivers. You are actually training them where they could actually be a competition one day. They could go out on their own and do field decking. So the company does take a little bit of a risk by showing them the skills in order to do it, but you won't have the backing of Norton. Like, if you need something, Norton's there. They pay for the saddle. Well, they lease you the saddles. So, like, you give us the equipment if we want to go and do field decking. So it it doesn't pay to really go back on your own. So I think I'm going to be here for the long haul. I don't see anything happening. If I feel lazy or I get too tired on the load, I just take a single from Norton.
Yeah.
It pays pretty well, and that's my way to relax. I took a single to Portland, Oregon, close from my house 2 weeks ago.
Oh, cool.
So
yeah.
If I'm lazy or I feel tired, you have that option.
Man, that's
take
awesome.
A single.
Well, all right. So let's say this then. So that being said, those that may be listening that are not deck drivers, is there any advice or advantage that you would give them as they're thinking about? Because the loads are there, right? We can take, as there's plenty of meat out there to have everybody be successful. So, is there any advice or guidance that you would give them if they're thinking about jumping into decking or wanting to be trained as a deck driver?
The only thing really comes to mind again is that safety issue. I've heard of guys, is highly illegal and very dangerous. They will do safety checks on the go. They will put in a little computer, their tablet, that they stopped and checked that load, but they'll keep driving. Do not cut corners like that. This is very serious. You really need to check that load. That is the most important thing that I could tell anyone. Definitely do not cut corners with those safety checks. Make sure it's, nice and tight, nothing moved. The money is here. You have to work a little bit, but it's like anything else. You get used to it, and it's just like second nature now.
Yeah, that's good advice. That's great advice. You're absolutely right. Don't come into this expecting to cut corners, because that could result in serious injury of yourself, somebody else, or even death, or even multiple things. So it's very serious business, and it's very serious business on decking. So thank you for sharing that, and I'm sure our safety department will love to hear you say that as well. So thank you.
I'm sure they would.
But well, awesome. Well, when you've lived in Alaska, you've been stationed in Alaska for the military. You've driven out of every terminal that I can see. You had your own authority. You've seen the United States, obviously. Well, where is your favorite place to visit?
Oh, Alaska. I
Ah,
haven't been there for a while, but Alaska, it's just beautiful. I do like the cold regions. I like where I
yeah.
live in Wisconsin.
I don't hear that a
Uh,
lot, by the way.
it's a rural area, and just people are nice. You meet country boys like Big E, and just guys down to earth. It's really great to be in a rural area, and we love winter activities. The boys, they play hockey, so it's a lot of fun. I
Oh,
like it.
that's awesome. Have you ever driven to Alaska from, from somewhere?
Oh, oh yes. So I was ETS, end of term of service for my military contract.
Yeah.
I finished before my wife did, and so there was 6 months. I was just the military spouse. I was, on base with her while she was still enlisted. So I was just bored. So I would go down to the East Coast and buy old Subaru cars, fix them up a little bit, and I'd drive them up to Alaska and sell them. And they went for a premium up there.
Damn, that's
It's either
genius.
you have to have either a pickup truck or an all-wheel drive car. So if you were short and feminine and didn't want a truck, you got a Subaru.
You got a
And
Subaru.
I have a Subaru right now. So I did that about 15 times. It wasn't enough. It
Wow.
wasn't enough to live on, but it was a paid vacation.
Sure.
And I did it with my wife a few times. We went up with 2 cars, and it was great. It was a good time going back and forth. But hey, I'm gonna get my passport here pretty soon. Do some Canada loads.
That's
for you,
good.
and-
Yeah, say we've got another terminal there that you can take advantage of. We did have a few, and it's few and far between because of the cost. But we've had a few loads that were delivered to Alaska, and I don't know that we've ever picked any up. But hearing the stories about the drive is crazy, and just in general about some of these little towns that you stop by and talk to some of the locals throughout Canada. It's just a crazy experience. I'd love to do it if I ever had the chance, because I would enjoy it. The scenery, the pictures that I've seen. That would probably be pretty cool too.
Yeah, it's beautiful. The whole trip up there, people are friendly, and you get to, we have our little spots where we stop at. Like Town 101 is actually the 101 mile marker on the Alcan Highway. There's Watson Lake, and every time we go there, we look at all the license plates that are on this, on this pole, really. So there's always like these little spots we stop at. It's changed. It used to be a rough road, but now, you can get fuel every 100 miles. It's not like every 200 like it used to be. So yeah, you can go up there now. It's not as bad as it used to be. It's really nice.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I like to talk a little bit about at the end of this, or obviously if you have anything to share, please feel free to. But one of my favorite things to ask is there one place, anywhere that you would like to recommend to drivers, to anybody listening, your favorite place to eat? And if you could say New York, a place in New York for pizza. I know that's probably where you're going to go. But if there's any, if there is that, put that thread in there. But is there any other place that you would recommend where drivers are on the road and close to terminals that they pick up and deliver at, or anywhere that you could think of that you like to visit?
I do have one place in mind, but before I say it, obviously anywhere in the East Coast, you get Italian, you get pizza. You have to do that. The bagels and cream cheese in the Northeast. Out in the Midwest, Waffle House, because Waffle House cooks everything fresh for you right there. It's not frozen, or it's really, good food, and it's cheap.
Yeah, I love
But
Waffle
one
House.
place, and I'm surprised Big E didn't say it. This is where he took me. I kept suggesting it, and he's like, man, that's the third time you mentioned this town. We better stop there. So it's halfway between Dodge Center, where we make a lot of deliveries,
Yeah.
and the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Okay.
On Route 52, there's a little town called Cannon Falls. There is a Mexican restaurant there, and it is really good food, and it's humongous. I had the fajitas, which is the combo, the steak, the chicken, and the shrimp. So it was so much food. I'm looking at Big E, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. This is no way. So I'm looking at the menu, and it was fajitas for two. And I'm like, they probably gave me fajitas
I
for two.
bet they did.
And yeah, like, well, we'll see when the bill comes. Nope, single serving.
Oh, wow.
And we could not finish it at all. So it was crazy good. I think it's called Rancho Loco.
I'm looking it up. Rancho Loco Grill and Bar, Cannon Falls, Minnesota. Damn it, I got to visit there. I've made the drive from Rochester into Minneapolis, a few times. And next time I do that, I know exactly where I'm going. And it looks like it's closer to Minneapolis. Yeah, it's closer to Minneapolis than it is Rochester. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And the town is good. They have a speedway truck stop. You can stop at a big empty parking lot if you want to eat at McDonald's. But with that Mexican restaurant there, you don't want to eat at McDonald's.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Rancho Loco. Awesome, man. Thank you so much. I love sharing places like that, especially places that, that's an area that I'm familiar with, so I can't wait to go. Well, man, that's it for me. Anything, I've enjoyed this. I love hearing about what you do, how you do it, how you've been successful. It's been fantastic. I can't thank you enough. But anything else you'd like to share before we jump off?
So this is great that you're doing this podcast, and I really enjoy listening to them. It's just interesting to hear people's success stories, also where they made mistakes in life too, and you can learn from it. So just hearing people's stories from all different walks of life, I did it like kind of one-on-one in the yellow cab. So I really enjoy listening to them.
Well, man, that's great. That's great to hear, and you're right. We have so many different types of people in the industry, and I hate the typical stereotype of not just truck driver, but drive-away driver. And, you hear that and, within our community, and it's just like, come on. So I'm hoping that, obviously drive-away space listens, but, now we're getting out there. We're sharing different people's backgrounds, different ethnicities, female, male. It's just so cool to hear all the different types of folks that are in our industry, what their background is, what they like, how much money they make, what they don't like. Everybody's, different. We're individuals, so there's no need to stereotype not only truck drivers, but driveway drivers, right?
That's right.
Oh, so cool, man. Well, I appreciate it. I've enjoyed it. We're going to keep this going for as long as Michael Norton will let me. So hopefully we'll have you on again soon. So awesome, man. Well, thank you so much. Hope you have a good night in Kansas City, and enjoy your flight to Dallas tomorrow.
All right. Take care, Justin.
Thanks, buddy.
Six Figure Trucker is brought to you by Norton Transport. Norton Transport is a drive-away trucking company that customers can rely on. It offers excellent independent contract driving opportunities to professional, courteous, and qualified drivers that can provide the kind of service we deliver. If you're interested in learning more about Norton or just want to subscribe to the show, check out 6-figuretrucker.com. That's 6-figuretrucker.com.